Hey, everybody. Today is, I don't know, May 14th, I think it is. And today we're going to be speaking with Lisa Checchio, Chief Marketing Officer with Wyndham Hotels, and going behind the scenes with a Hawaii hotel that was in the middle of a major renovation when all of this mess started. Stick around. We got a great show for you. And it would be better if I did the right credits. Let's try that again. Oh my goodness, I can't get it right. I cannot get anything right today. What, should I even try? One more time. Lord almighty, Anthony, I cannot get the button straight today. All the stuff got moved around behind the scenes. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. How are you today, sir?
Do you know in show business, they say don't work with animals or children or Glenn? Do you know that,
right? Yet you're making a very, very poor decision here.
I got up 1 second to move a light, and then
I know, I screwed it all up. That was all my fault, everybody. So, Anthony, today you're going to be on a TV channel that I want to say not bigger than this, but much bigger than this.
Yes, today at 2:50, I'm going to be on Fox News talking about the industry. I didn't know you were going to mention that, but yeah, at 2:50. We'll be talking to Judge Pirro about the state of the industry.
All right.
So it's again, one of the reasons we do the show is to get our voices heard from the hospitality industry, the airline industry, and it's really important to be on. Last week I was on MSNBC. This week I'm going to be on Fox, and probably many more to come. But trying to get the word out. So
yep. Well, Anthony will be on Fox News if you want. 3:50 this afternoon. I'm going out into the woods, and I'm going to actually talk to a fox. So we're both going to be having a very exciting afternoon. Man, I can't get anything out of Anthony these days. You are one tough cookie, my friend. All right, let's get right into it.
Can we please talk to our guest?
That's what I'm doing right now. Let's bring on Miss Lisa Checchio, and let's hope I hit the right button. Goodness gracious. Lisa Checchio, Chief Marketing Officer, Wyndham. How are you today,
Hi,
Lisa?
guys. Nice to see you.
Oh, my goodness. So great to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
I apologize, Lisa. You have a very big position in this industry. You are sought after, well respected. Everyone knows who you are.
Here comes
I apologize for Glenn's behavior and his inability to produce the show.
I know. I hope it's not a sign of how this will go today.
Oh, it's gonna. You're gonna be great. I am on a quick descent spiral downward. So, Lisa, one of the things that I've noticed is we've worked through a lot of pain and all of that kind of stuff. And in the last week or so, and you can tell by our attitude, we're starting to feel more positive. We're starting to feel like we're getting an understanding of what's going on. We're starting to feel like we have a little bit more control back in our lives. And I could see that you're not hiding in a corner crying. So things must be getting a little bit better for Wyndham. What is the state of things with you folks right now, in your opinion?
Sure. So I could not agree with you more. And I think hope is a very powerful force. And that's why I'm so excited to actually be with you all today, because I feel like watching your show every day, we've definitely seen us turn a little bit. There's a little bit of optimism, a little bit of hope. But we have been through unprecedented times. And I think while we start to feel the hope, there still is a sense of uncertainty. And so for us, we really wanted to focus on one core question, which is what can we do to help? How can we help our franchisees through this while still building confidence for our guests? And that's really where we came up with a very simple phrase, which is that we want them all to know that they can count on us. They can count on us to help them through the recovery, and they can count on us to deliver a little bit of hope.
And that's a big statement. It's a little statement, but really big. You can count on us. And in certain times, there's a lot that we can't count on. Unfortunately, there's a lot going on. What does that mean? Break that down. We can count on you. What does that mean?
Sure. So while the phrase and the program was just launched last week, this is something that has been driving us since the beginning of the pandemic. And, in the very early days, we came out in partnership with our franchisees and said, what do you need? What do you need help with? And this is where the first wave of the fee relief came. This is where, our partnerships with AHLA and AHOA came in terms of lobbying on their behalf, in terms of funding. This is where some of the relief came in terms of brand standards. And so we wanted them to know from the very early days that they could count on us to help them through, to understand that their success is our success. And then from a guest perspective, almost over 90% of our hotels have remained open. And so we still have guests coming in and out of the hotels every single day. And so while we are prepared for a little bit more of that leisure recovery to come back, the hotels are open and operating. And so all along the way, we've been wanting to give a sense of this sentiment of count on us to our guests that we will keep them safe.
So that's interesting. I'm sorry. I want to follow up on this thing that you were open the entire time. So what was that transition like from when all of this started happening? It became our new reality for the time being, and making sure the guests were cared for while simultaneously try to implement all of these new solutions to instill that confidence for both your frontline workers and for the folks that chose to stay with you.
Right. So I think it's built upon a strong foundation that was of service that was already there. So our Count on Me service to deliver a great experience no matter what was the baseline for everything that we did. And that was coupled by our very strong standards around clean and safety. Mm-hmm. And so what is happening now is just an enhancement to all of that. We are building upon all of that. And it really started with, what do our franchisees need today? And that was really the first step in the Count on Us initiative, which is to get them essential cleaning supplies that they were not able to get on their own, or to get them essential, masks and hand sanitizers and things that are still currently being very hard to get sourced, is why we took it upon ourselves to work with our partners at Ecolab to drop ship kits of these materials directly into our 6,000 hotels in the US so that it's readily available. They have what they need. Our guests can have these. I think it'll be important now for guests to have visual cues. So while they believe the hotels were clean in the first place, now when they see certain things in the hotel, they'll get a sense of, I can trust that I'm in a safe place.
Right. Makes sense. At first I thought you were going to say we have Jeff Bellotti locked in a back room making hand sanitizer at first over there. So Anthony?
You just said something I wrote down, because today I'm going to be on Fox at 2:50 talking about the industry, and you said visual cues, and it's one of the things I've been talking about, but I didn't actually use those words, and I think that's key. Before we used to clean obviously at night or away from the guests. Now we have to show them that we're doing that. So just so the audience understands, how big is the portfolio of Wyndham? Like 90% have been open. Tell them how many hotels that is.
Sure. So in the US, that is nearly 6,000 hotels. Globally, we have upwards of 93 to 9,500 hotels. So even as we think about our portfolio in China, almost 85% of our over 1,000 hotels in China are also opening and operating and welcoming guests.
What has been, this could take 3 hours for you to answer, but what has been the biggest challenge?
That is, there's a lot of ways we could go with that question. Biggest challenge in terms of
just keeping 90% of your portfolio open. Is it communication? Is the ability to communicate what the standards are? Is it communicating to your team that you're going to be okay, the hotel's going to be open? Is it your owners trying to help them with their financing issues? What has been the number one thing that has been taking up most of your time?
Sure. So I think what we're really proud of is our availability and accessibility to being franchisee first. Almost 99% of our hotels in US and Canada have had an outreach from their operations person to build a customized plan for their recovery. So when we think about things like partnering with our global sales organization, when we think about things like ensuring that their content in all distribution channels is updated, is really selling their hotels in the best light, is really making sure that they're prepared for guests to start coming back to them. We feel that our hotels have had the partnership that they needed with our franchise service team to ensure that they're ready. And that's something that we're really proud of, because our franchisees are the lifeblood of our company. Their success is our success. And we feel that if we take care of them and we ensure that they have what they need, they can then take care of our guests.
And how do you see the traveler? The traveler that's going to travel first is the hardcore traveler, right? Is the person that just wants to get back and go. How do you see that coming online? Like in the next, I'd say 30 to 60 days. I'm
going to guess it's everyone's going to be hitting the road. And as much as Ed Bastian doesn't want to hear that, not the airplanes.
Yeah. So I think it also goes back to who's been staying in our hotels all along. I mean, we've been housing essential frontline workers from healthcare to the National Guard. We also have our truck drivers and our steel workers and our construction workers who have really benefited from a number of the PPP loans staying in our hotels. So that core business of that everyday traveler is still there with us. I think when we think about the road, this is where Wyndham is really well positioned to welcome back that road traveler who wants to take a domestic road trip to see something that they haven't seen. We have, 6,000 hotels across the country, ranging from economy to upper upscale. We're there ready to welcome guests, and we're there with Wyndham.
And I think that's it's an amazing point, because we have to move, right? We have to travel. We have to get this economy going. We have to go. We have to show visual cues so everybody knows that we're going to be safe, but we need to move. And I think that having 90% of your portfolio open is a testament to that. But doing it in the safe way is the number one priority. There is no number two priority. Number one priority is keeping everybody safe and letting people choose, letting people have the choice to either travel, get on a plane, get in a car, and go, and that you're there waiting for them to keep them safe. It says a lot about your company.
Yeah, and I think we're even seeing that as we think about, and as we look at some of the social listening that we're doing, just because people cannot travel right now because of the shelters in place, doesn't mean that they don't want to. And so being able to create an environment, even through social media, that helps them to think about all the places that they want to go, or, remember that, when they're ready to go and when they're willing to travel, reminding them of how we will be ready to welcome them. And that absolutely now, I think, Anthony, will be about safety first, which has always been a core part of our DNA in terms of ensuring that our guests have a safe stay. And now it'll be really just making that come to the forefront on top of all the other things that we're doing for them.
And the way I know you're really good at your job is because we've had 100 guests on this show, more than that, and you have the best lighting and best backdrop, period. You win.
I'll take it for the win. Thank you.
That's great. So when you're thinking about the future, what do you think some of the individual hoteliers out there can help themselves get more business when it comes to this drive to market? We're approaching that Memorial Day holiday, and I don't know how many people are going to be getting on airplanes, but my guess is people are going to be wanting to travel. People want to hit on the road. So how can your hoteliers tap into that potential market that's out there?
Sure. And we were actually just having this conversation yesterday with one of our brand councils, because based on where the hotels are, some are absolutely seeing that demand come back right away. And so I think that, again, goes back to ensuring that the content is up to date. I think it's, I think it's even looking at some of the local businesses that are in the area, and even partnering with them to see what they're doing to generate travel. And it's working with us, with their marketing teams, with their field operations teams, with their revenue management leads, with their global sales leads, to ensure that we are also positioning them and well positioning them for the upcoming holidays, which we're feeling bullish about. I mean, we absolutely are starting to see bookings start to come back week over week. We're seeing weekend travel pick up over the weekend. So there's definitely pent up demand out there, and we're ready to welcome it.
That is excellent. I'm really looking forward to seeing a little bit more success in the hospitality industry. You think this is going to stick for a little while? You think people are going to really feel that need to get out there and travel this summer?
I do. I mean, if you think about even the way that we used to talk about travel last year, in terms of it was all experiential, and it was all about a currency that these younger generations want to use. They don't want to save it up and just take that one big trip. They want to travel as often as they can. And I think that desire hasn't changed. I think it'll just be done a little differently now. They may consider things as they haven't had before. I think this is also where the power of a brand comes in, because people are going to be seeking out well-known brands that they can know and trust, and that they know are backed by a company that can stand behind it. And that's where I think our 20 brands really come in. They're household names: Super 8 by Wyndham, Days Inn by Wyndham, La Quinta by Wyndham. These are brands that people know and trust even prior to the pandemic. And I think as we come now and travel starts to begin again, people are going to be seeking out brands that they know.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think in times of trouble, people really can, when people really rely on the brands they trust in, the ones that they've made an emotional connections with, the ones that they could feel confident in when they stay somewhere. So I think branding right now is going to be more important than ever going forward, and being able to make that connection with the brand and the customer is going to be where the franchisees are going to really have the most opportunity, I think, out there. And I mean the loyal customer in this particular sense. Anthony, what do you think about what we're going to see this summer when it comes to getting back out on the road and traveling and staying in hotels again?
Well, I think we're at the point where people realize it's up to them to keep themselves and it's up to the brand to help. But what do you, Lisa, as far as letting people know, it's one thing to let them know at reservations, one thing to let them know with signage in their hotel, but is there going to be a marketing campaign? Are you going to go out with that tagline? What does the summer look like from a marketing standpoint? Or are you holding back a little bit before you launch a major campaign?
Sure. Yeah. So we've been taking a phased approach to our marketing and recovering efforts. When the pandemic began in early April, we really focused on the idea of staying home to keep us all safe. We all flattened the curve. Even Wyndham did their part. We closed all of our offices and went to a full work from home policy. And we focused on messaging that was about creating an emotional connection, but also empathy and understanding for the situation. So this is where we launched our Everyday Heroes campaign, where we celebrated all essential workers who were out there on the front line, from healthcare to our truck drivers and delivery workers to grocery associates, and we recognize them by giving gold status. And the thinking there is, not only to recognize them in times of need, but as once travel does begin again, that they'll now be recognized with gold when they come and stay with us. We've now pivoted, and starting this week, we will really now start to talk about this count on us mentality. Right. Really stressing the safety protocols, the cleaning protocols, the way, some of the cues that they can see as they enter the hotel, and really talk about the consistency, because the drop shipping of the product allows us now to feel confident that when a guest is coming into the hotel, there will at least be a baseline of this now enhanced cleaning. And then even in speaking to a brand council yesterday, they are then also going above and beyond in some hotels to do more. And then we will shift into this welcome back campaign, which we will see, Anthony, in the coming weeks as we come into Memorial Day, as we come into the 4th of July holiday, really giving this sense of, inspiring people to rebook and reconnect. I've heard from so many people how much they just miss seeing their family and friends because they haven't been able to be together. That pent-up demand comes from and will be driven by this drive-up, leisure, domestic business that we're well posed to accept and welcome.
Right. I feel like we're on the verge of a great brand reset. I don't mean that brands themselves are going to be resetting, right, but I'm talking about, I think customers are going to have an opportunity now to choose which brands they're loyal to. One of the things that I've personally learned in this situation that we've been in right now, as I've been trapped in my house for 10 weeks now, that certain brands are coming through for me. Certain brands are disappointing me. And there's great opportunity for all sorts of brands out there, in particular Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, to be able to connect with those consumers that are feeling disappointed with the brands that they perceive that have let them down at this particular time. I feel there are 2, 3, 4 notable brands in my life that I know have let me down. And as soon as I can, I'm going to switch my loyalty to other companies because they didn't treat me right. They didn't treat me with respect. And after all the business I've given them, I've expected more. So, Lisa, I think you're in a good place right now to actually create some real genuine loyalty going forward amongst a group of people that have seen what you're doing, that have been at the properties, and have seen that you're extending that extra special care to them.
I appreciate that, and it is a key focus for us. And again, this is where our partnership with our franchisees come in. Mm-hmm. We want them to also be loyal. I think to your point about consumer brands, I think it's the same in our relationship as well. As did we step up when they needed us to? Could they count on us to help them through this unprecedented time in a way that will make them more successful as we reboot on the other side? I mean, one thing that we know is that this industry is resilient. The people who are in it are resilient. We are banding together to recover. And have we been there for them when they needed us most? And I hope that they would say yes. And if they feel that way, then we both together can go back out to our guests who are, and the guests that are coming back, those first guests will be Wyndham guests. Those are our travelers, those everyday travelers who are taking road trips to visit their families, to take their kids out, to see things that they haven't seen before in local states or across the country. Mm-hmm. That's who we are ready and willing and ready to welcome.
Right. All right. So we got a question from the audience. Can Lisa share some of the struggles in dealing with the guests on the front line? But now let me say struggles. Let me say challenges or opportunities. It was really just nobody really knew what to expect. You can't really train for a major pandemic. So maybe if you could share a little of the frontline experience before we let you go.
I think, a lot of the opportunities that we saw was ensuring the proper training for our front desk and front, lobby staff. Because so many of the hotels have had to limit the amount of staff that they've kept to keep the hotels running, there was strain in terms of just the amount of people who are working at the hotels. And then I think there was also, the uncertainty that a guest feels. It's the same on the other side. And I actually had a franchisee say that a lot of some of their staff that were coming in because of loyalty and allegiance to, to the owner and to the hotel. But there was a sense of, am I going to be safe? Am I protected properly? Because and that was really an opportunity for us, because we really realized that in order to ensure that our guests were taken care of, we also needed to make sure that we were taking care of our hotel staff. Yeah.
I'm sorry. And authenticity right now from the top all the way down to the bottom is critical. If you don't train, or any brand doesn't train their team and make their team feel comfortable, because you can train them, but if they don't feel comfortable and they don't run the work and say, my company's got my back, even if you train them to speak about all the points, if they don't feel it, this is not a time where people can fake it. Because if they don't feel safe, if they don't feel that their company's got their back, there's no way that's going to transition to a guest. And that, to me, is the most important part of everything we're doing. That employee has to be able to say, we have the best brand, not because they told me to say that, it's because they've taken care of me, they've taken care of my family, they've done the right things. They looked me in the eye and they told me the truth, the hard truth sometimes, but they told me the truth. Then I can really be a catalyst and a cheerleader for my brand.
And Anthony, what we've been so inspired by is some of the stories that are coming from the front line in how the hotels have given back to their own, either by food drives or getting essential materials for them, or fundraisers to help them, some of the families who are going through tough times. And it does build a sense of family and community, and that this is a place where I want to belong. And I could not agree with you more. And I hope that will then translate to when our guests really start to come back in, that, the person who greets them can remember the sense of service that our industry gives, and treat with the same level of care and empathy for the guests coming in to really welcome them back, because that's where loyalty will be built in this new world that we're all entering into.
Beautiful. I think that's a really great place to wrap it up, Anthony, unless you've got one more question for the lovely Ms. Checchio.
No, just thank you for being on it. And one of the comments that we've been getting consistently is, what a great guest, so positive, so enthusiastic, so authentic, and all those things have to happen for our industry to open up. You have to be authentic, positive, but also tell the truth. And I think that's what we got from you today. And like I said, I've never seen so many comments about what a great guest we have on. So thank you. And now, actually, one of our guests is coming on, said what a great guest, and now he's going to just bring the whole thing down. But
I guess we must be talking about our friend Chris. Lisa, thank you so much for being here. It was a distinct pleasure to have you, man. Oh man, that was really good. I love this. Before we move on to our next segment, Anthony, tomorrow we are going to be making a drink alongside the good folks over at Fistful of Bourbon. So we want to make sure that you have all the supplies that you need to help drink along with us. That means go get yourself some bourbon, go get yourself some black cherry soda, go get yourself some vanilla ice cream, because we're going to be making a black cherry float with bourbon. Anthony, how do you think about that? It's pretty good, right?
This is what I think. First of all, your camera work is improving, your marketing is improving. Your slides are improving, so you and Jeff are surprising me every second during the show. Great job.
Now, only if the show could get a couple of good hosts, then we'd be really in the money there. That's for sure. But we don't need good hosts for this show. No, we only need the best guests, and we got some more of them coming up right now. All right, I only got Chris in. I cut Anthony off. This is not going well with my directing skills. Let me bring in Theresa and John over here. Hello, everyone. Theresa, John, good morning. You're coming to us from Hawaii. I absolutely love that you're here from Hawaii. Chris, great to see you today. Before we get into what's going on with Aqua-Aston and the Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Chris, how you doing today, my friend?
Well, I'm doing good. I love the energy of your previous guest. What a great job she did. Great energy around the relationships with I love what she had to say about the relationship with the franchisees, relationships with the guests, and how Wyndham is treating that entire environment and looking at that return on relationship really, really strong. And
Yeah.
for our guests from Hawaii, I'm a Hawaii baby. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, so I'm connected to the Hawaii experience.
You were born in Hawaii, did you just say?
Yeah, military brat. I was.
Wow.
Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. Well, let's speak. Theresa van Greunen, is that how you
That's
pronounce your
right.
last name? All right. Usually I check these things
All
out so I don't
right.
look like a fool on air, but I don't really care anymore. I look like a fool no matter what. Theresa, thank you so much for being here. John White, thank you so much for being here. Aqua-Aston is a brand mostly out in Hawaii and the South and the Pacific and all of that kind of stuff. All the great places that I want to be, but I never get to go to. Why? Because the hotel industry insists on holding all of their conferences in Las Vegas and Orlando. We got to get back out to Hawaii. Literally, the last time I was in Hawaii was for a Best Western show, I think about 4 years ago. So I'll get the conversation started and then let the other guys take it away. You're in the middle of a big renovation here, but $75 million rebuild of the property, and then all of a sudden everything comes boom, boom, boom to a screeching halt. What was that experience like for you guys?
Oh, I see. You're talking about Espacio, which is our newest property here in Oahu. Actually, $100 million, and we did manage to open in September last year. So we had a good couple of months, and we were getting all systems going, and now we're on a little pause. But the property is really well positioned for when people want to travel again, because it's very unique. It's only 9 suites. Each suite has their own entire floor and 3 bedrooms. Wow. 3.5 bathrooms, full kitchen, living room, ocean view. So basically you can self-isolate and be perfectly happy.
I love that. I'd love to be able to go to Hawaii and not have to enjoy my family and friends.
Well, you can, but with 2,500 square feet, it's not going to be stressful.
well, Theresa, what's really important to me and Glenn is we've been, cooped up like everybody else for 2.5 months. We're doing this every single day. So we would like to, with your compliments, to take you up on a trip to your hotel and use one of those floors for our live LinkedIn every day. Should I book my flight now or should I wait a couple weeks?
I think I would wait a little bit. Hawaii is still very cautious.
Yeah, you guys are pretty much locked down over there. So, John, what is that doing to your business over there? Can you actually have anyone at your hotel? What's the situation? Because honestly, we feel so removed because you guys are out there, like pretty much an island nation unto yourselves.
Well, as Theresa mentioned, we have the 14-day quarantine. So anybody coming into the state is under quarantine for those 14 days, at least through the end of May. That might be extended. So for the most part, in our neighborhood, all the hotels are closed down completely. We do have a few hotels for Heroes programs for the frontline staff throughout Maui. And we did start our $75 million renovation April 1st. So from a finance perspective, we planned that into our budget, and we're able to keep employees working on those projects, safe distance and social practicing, all those things. So it's still moving forward, and we're very excited to have you guys. After you go to Theresa's place, you can come over and enjoy our new restaurant.
And so talking about new restaurant, what are you incorporating to incorporate the social distancing and the new normal? What changes have you made?
That's the question I have for Chris this morning. But we're known for our Sunday brunch. We always have the #1 Sunday brunch. So our brunches are probably going to be gone. Our breakfast buffets are going to be gone. So, launching a brand new restaurant with all these requirements, we're having to be very flexible and move very quickly on all those areas. It's an open air restaurant, so that helps us on that front, but it's social distancing right now.
Excellent. So, Chris, what do you think about what these folks are going through over there?
I mean, that's a lot. Again, we are a little bit removed from what's going on in Hawaii. I have read a lot about what's going on, how difficult the environment is with there being completely shut down. So, especially with the general occupancy that the island enjoys and the travel patterns with the year-round weather. So, I know it's really tough on them. I think it's great if they can get their renovations done now. Theresa's property sounds insanely nice. I don't know if they're looking for a GM or something. Maybe that could be my retirement gig.
We're always looking for a great talent.
So, but seriously, with you folks on islands and stuff like that, the idea of drive-to business, which we were just talking about in the last segment, isn't really something that you could focus on. And I guess swim-to business is unrealistic between islands and stuff like that. So what are you doing? Are you just trying to take a deep breath now and prepare for when things are more normalized out there?
Yeah,
well, I mean, right now we're on a stay at home, safer at home, and we anticipate that that's going to be relaxed soon. I mean, luckily Hawaii is one of the very few states that's not been heavily impacted by COVID. We've had just over 600 cases. Right now, there's only about 50 people in the islands that are an active case of COVID, and so we're quickly on our way to recovery. Our curve is flat. And we are expecting that while the quarantine for outside visitors may be extended for in inter-island travel or on-island travel, we're expecting our safer home might be relaxed shortly. So perhaps the people that live here on the islands can have Hawaii to themselves for a little bit. And so we're actually looking at marketing to locals because it's unique to have the beaches really unpopulated. Usually a lot of our most popular beaches can be crowded. And so it's a totally unique experience. And also our nature has had a chance to relax. So some of the snorkeling bays that are very popular will have extra clear water at this time. And so it's kind of exciting to be in this interim period. But, you know, as John and I mentioned, the state is very conservative and we want to kind of keep our curve flat. And so we are, you know, all aligned with the mandates that, you know, to honor the don't travel to Hawaii at this time. But of course, we're all excited for everyone to come back when it's safe.
John, same question to you, because I know you wanted to answer that one.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we are at the mercy of the state, the quarantine. So once that gets lifted, then we can start talking about that. The interest is very, very strong among our guests to come back. They've asked us over and over and over, you know, when can we come back? And it's when it's ready and when it's safe. We're seeing a lot of activity for the fall booking months and also into 2021. We're more on the leisure side than on the group side of things. So we don't have the drive market and we don't have the business traveler. So we're much more on the leisure side, but they're still booking. They still want to come. They still love Hawaii. So that'll continue to happen.
So I have a question. Can I ask a question, Anthony?
Please.
I'm just curious. As a stats guy, I'm just curious. How much travel on a regular, when things are normal, is inter-island travel? How much of a percentage of your travel does that make up?
That's a very good question, and I don't have those exact numbers. I mean, arrivals are 30,000 a day before COVID, and now we're down to a handful of those. So inter-island travel, a lot of people are repeat visitors to Hawaii, so they might visit Oahu and Maui. They might go to Kauai or Hawaii Island. So we do see multi-island trips from our guests.
So you're saying 30,000 trips into Hawaii every given day before COVID?
Correct.
30,000 people, visitors.
And that's on average. Okay.
Yes.
And right now, basically, the islands are closed to anyone coming, unless it's inter-island, coming from anywhere else. Is that correct?
You can come, but you have a 14-day quarantine.
So I can't get on a plane and take up Theresa's invitation and do LinkedIn as long as we're quarantined for 14 days.
And that means you can't leave your room, but yes, you could.
As long as Glenn's on a different floor, I'm good.
Well, do you have a balcony in those rooms? Because as long as I've got a balcony in Hawaii.
We do. You know. Actually, and every unit has its own jacuzzi on the balcony overlooking the ocean. So it's a good deal. But actually, Espacio is closed at this time. So you kind of, you can't come.
Yeah, but you know, for the publicity of doing our show, I just found out yesterday that we have almost 500,000 unique clicks every day or every month. So you want us there, okay? I'm getting my Hawaii shirt right now, Glenn. I'll meet you there.
I see that.
Come on,
we'll try and get a private conference with the governor and see if we can work something out.
Tell them who it is coming. Tell them Anthony and Glenn. I'm sure that'll work.
Sure.
Just make sure Glenn gets type billing. Make sure you say Glenn Hausman.
So all right. So it's really interesting, being that you guys are an island out there, and you are so caught up. How do you have such positive spirit and energy, other than the obvious fact that you live in paradise? I mean, as we've been through this process here, everyone's been going through a whole lot of stress, but you seem to all be taking it in stride. Maybe you've already been through a lot of therapy and you're on the other side of that. But let's start this one with John. But seriously, how do you guys keep such a positive spirit? How are you so confident that everything is going to be okay when we get out of this?
Well, we're independently owned and operated by the Shaw Group, which is based out of Hong Kong. So we had a tip-off almost 6 weeks prior to this hitting North America. So we knew something pretty ugly was coming down our way. So we planned for that. In our financial models, we had planned for a downturn in the revenue because of that. We didn't plan for zero, but we definitely were able to make some adjustments while we still had revenue coming in. So we're committed to that. The owners added another wing into our renovation. So it's good to see that positivity from a dollar spend perspective. And then that helps our employees have that confidence to say, hey, this ownership is going to take care of us. So as we work on projects around the hotel, even though we're closed, we are gearing up for a brighter day. Most of our employees are 2, 3, 4 decades employees.
Wow.
So they are very committed to the property. So that's why we're all in this together. As Theresa and I talk about Ohana, we're a family. And that includes our guests, that includes our employees, to be able to move things forward. It might not be in June, it might be July, but we are going to get through this together.
It's a really, I have a question. I've been to Hawaii, I think 4 or 5 times doing different shows, and it's one of my favorite places on earth. Before I went to Hawaii, I was like, Hawaii, okay, it's like an island. I've been to islands before. I got to Hawaii and I was like, if I was stationed here in the military when I was in the Air Force, I would have never left. So it's really, literally, it's my favorite place on earth to go and to relax. But I know that Hawaiians are very, they truly believe in their culture. They truly believe in their island. They're very protective of their culture and their island. So once this opens up, I would imagine there's going to be a lot of communication to outside folks coming in, how you filter those people into the island to ensure the curve stays flat. So is there a lot of conversation about that? Because there's never been a place that I've traveled to more that the culture and the homeland is so important to everyone, whether you grew up there or whether you transplanted there. It's really strong. So how is that going to happen once you do allow people like from New York to come and other places in the world?
Absolutely. And I think that answer starts with working with our CVB, Hawaii Tourism Authority, from an overall brand sell. If you want aloha, you got to bring aloha, part of the thing. Secondly, we are Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel. So we have 9 cultural practitioners on staff full time. Wow. So we are outreaching to the community through our employees and their relatives and their friends. So we really have a good pulse on things in Maui to be able to work on that. But you bring up a very good point. It is concerning. We went from that very, very large number to a small number in a short amount of time, and now people are like, wow, there's no traffic, this is great, I can go to my beach, as Theresa said, do all these things, and then you start to bring things back. So that's I think on one side. The other thing that we need to think about is we went from 3% unemployment to 37% unemployment. People need to get back to some level of work. So we have to balance that, and I think all regions across the world are needing to balance that discussion, because you do need to put food on the table. So we're going to have to find that happy medium and all work together, all the partners, the airlines, the states, as well as the hotels, to move forward.
Well, that'll be interesting to see, because one advantage that you folks do have over the advantage that somebody like Chris has is that Asia seems to be coming out of this now. We're seeing it open up. Sure, movie theaters open and then close, but they're open again. Things are moving in the right direction. Hawaii is perfectly spotted between Japan and Asia and the United States. So that means you've got a great feeder market that may come on board first. Do you have a sense that that's going to be helpful? And if that does come back first, do you think perhaps your state will loosen the quarantine restriction to folks coming from that part of the world first, as opposed to lifting it for everybody? Either of you folks
Theresa, why don't you take that?
All right, sure. I mean, yeah, we're open to all opportunities. It's true, we do have key feeder markets in Asia, as well as Canada and the West Coast tend to be our top markets. And our state is really working with other states to improve screening. There's talk about airport screening, temperature checks, things of that nature. There's a lot of thought being put into how we reopen our economy and how we can do that safely in a phased approach. We hear from our friends in Oceania, Australia and New Zealand have talked about this travel bubble because they have successfully flattened their curves, and some of our lawmakers in Hawaii are interested in understanding if Hawaii can become part of that bubble, because we are also in the same situation. So there's a lot of potential opportunities or different scenarios that could play out. It's just really difficult to understand how that can work, and what's really going to come to be.
And I think one of the things Hawaii provides is hope, right? Because when you think of Hawaii, you just think of paradise and you think of hope. And you're going to be outside when you're in Hawaii. There are a lot of hotels that have outdoor corridor hotels in Hawaii. You're on the beach. So what I heard this morning or the first guest from Wyndham, and what I'm hearing from you is there's hope. We're moving forward. We're going to start opening up, but we're going to do it smartly. And I think that's where we need to be right now. We need to be hopeful, and so please make sure that door is open when I get there. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I had a question. John, how are you finding that the state is handling the mass amount of unemployment that's come right after that? I mean, that's one of the highest numbers I've heard. And from talking to your associates or laid off associates, either one of you can answer is how are they finding it, navigating the unemployment, and how's the state handling that?
Well, it's a tsunami for the system to handle that many unemployment claims in a short amount of time. So they're like many other states, quite backlogged in getting that rolling. Because we're an independent hotel, we were able to qualify for the PPP. So we were able to bring back a fair amount of our employees to work on all these projects, cleaning the property, and spot painting, etc., getting things going. So that was very important. But it is a tough thing, and we don't know how things are going to go, because as Theresa and I were talking about, our governor really wants to make sure that we flatten and eliminate that curve. At some point, we have to open it up, and so we're going to see an increase in the cases, but we also need to see a decrease in that unemployment. So it is a tough balance.
And that PP money is not only getting people back to work, but it's really helping, I would imagine, their mental state. Being able to go to work every day, seeing their friends, even if they're social distancing, that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. That is so important. Even if the hotel's empty, getting them back to work. So, John, I applaud you, because it's so critical.
I mean, if you hop onto our Facebook page, you'll see we took some pictures of our employees with face masks, PPE, doing their scrubbing, doing their deep cleaning, and the guest comments are amazing. They're like, "Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you. Hope Uncle Dale is still at the bar," and all these type of things. And so it's really reassuring to us. Our guests are giving us that hope as well.
And that's a good point. We talk about that a lot, that we need to tell your guests what's going on. It's okay if you show your employee with a mask cleaning. They want to see that. They want to see that you're excited and that there's people working, because those people probably have small businesses. They have jobs. They want to see that other people are working, and it inspires them. So, John, it's perfect, because we talk about that ad nauseum on this show, is that you need to express to your guests what's going on. And that's fantastic. I'm actually going to go look at it so I can get inspired.
All right, so I got one question from me and one question from a listener, but the first question I have is, John, what was it like when they first told you were going to be a regular cast member on The Office instead of just appearing? Sorry, it's a little Ed Helms humor there for everybody. Sorry, what was that? What was that, John? Ed? John? What? So Stephanie asked, do you think if I booked a trip to Hawaii in the fall, would it happen, or could they possibly close the islands again? Can we get you some business, guys? Can we get you some business? John, could you please take that one now that I gave you a hard time?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for giving us a hard time. The important thing that we all have to understand is flexibility. The airlines only have their flight schedules out for really the next 30 days, 45 days. So we all need to be flexible. So we definitely would welcome you in the fall. We welcome coming out, stay at Theresa's place and then at my place, and we'll take care of you. There are no guarantees in COVID world. So I would say for mental break, you need to come to Hawaii and enjoy yourself.
John, that was a perfect answer. I mean, that's exactly right, because you can't answer that question. Flexibility is critical. And I think that is exactly right. We have to be flexible. We have to be hopeful, but perfectly said. Theresa?
Yeah, I would agree with John. I think we also see a lot of hunger and desire of our past guests to come back. I manage our social media as well, and I noticed a lot of check-ins at our properties that are actually not accepting reservations, temporarily closed. And I thought, wow, what's happening? And it was actually people who had a trip and we're supposed to check in and we're posting pictures from their last trip saying I was supposed to be here today. And, that was really nice to see. And I think, when it's safe, we want everyone to come back. We think that, it's hopefully sooner than later, but we just don't know.
Chris?
So Theresa, I heard you say you manage the social, and I imagine some of the e-commerce sites. Are you seeing like meta search activity, Google Analytics? People are starting to do the dream phase about Hawaii. Are you seeing any of that happening as you're tracking your web analytics?
We definitely are, and I participate in a lot of industry conferences as well, and that's what I'm hearing from all of the top minds of our industries. People are interested in travel. They're interested in inspiration. They may not be booking right now, but what they want is flexibility. I'm proud to say that our company has a very flexible, generous cancellation policy, no penalty for any date in 2020. So, we understand that it's an uncertain time and people really need that peace of mind that if they do book a trip and it becomes unsafe, they don't have to feel stuck. And so that's one of the things we feel really strongly about is customer service and being there for our guests, even if it means, extra flexibility. And so I would just add that, we do see people searching for travel. We're even getting reservations for later in the year. September, October, November, there's activity and social media is alive and well. People are stuck at home and they're dreaming of when I get out of here, where am I going to go?
I think that's so important. To guarantee cancellations is so important because a lot of people, a lot of hoteliers will, open up the reservations. And then if COVID does start extending in some markets, you're not able to open up, then they're going to start taking 20, 30% of that fee. That just seems like not only hurts our industry, it just seems really unfair and disrespectful to the travel community.
And to Glenn's point, he talked earlier about some brands that have let him down, and I'm assuming this is part of it. And we have seen some of our guests, come to us that had made a third-party booking and couldn't cancel it, and they were getting incorrect information where the other party was even pointing a finger back at our company and saying it's not our policy to allow the refund. And we actually stepped in and fixed that for those customers. It's very important to us to make sure everyone's taken care of.
Right. Anthony, I'm going to make you ask a question because you're giving me a hard time in the private chat room now. So I'm putting you on the spot.
It's just I'm trying to have some fun with you, my friend.
I know.
Well, you're right. I am on the spot. Chris.
Yes.
You going to Hawaii next year?
I would love to go. I'm ashamed to say that I haven't been back since I left when I was 3 years old. I just have never been able to make the trip.
No.
I know, and we've been planning it, and now I think I found my spot. I know. I'm sorry, John. I want to go so bad.
He was such a great traveler that he went to Hawaii 3 years old by himself.
Yeah. All right. So let me give my pro Hawaii story here. Help you guys out there. I got to be honest with you. When I was planning my honeymoon, I did not want to go to Hawaii because everyone goes to Hawaii for a honeymoon. It felt like a horrific cliche to me. So I wanted to go do something else, something different, something that I perceived that would be special. Then 9/11 happened, and all of a sudden it kind of rejiggered my my thought process about what I was going to do. So spring of 2002, I went to Hawaii and I fell in love. It was the most beautiful place I had ever been. I couldn't believe that there was a part of me that said I didn't want to go to this place. I would have missed out on such a great experience that I had. I got to go and see a real volcano. I got to go on a tour of a national park with a park ranger and places that nobody ever gets to go. I got to lie on the beach and be left alone for 5 days. It was heaven. It was amazing, and I've got to get back there again. Fortunately, I've been there 3 times now, Chris. So maybe we could all plan a trip to go there together.
We shot a show at the Four Seasons Maui, and they met me on the golf course with a helicopter. Took me in the morning. They flew me to Kona. We dropped off in Kona. We picked some coffee. They pressed it for us. I had a cup of coffee, and I got back on my jet helicopter and went back. And then they took me to a zip line.
Excuse me.
I know.
The longest zip line I think maybe in the country is in Maui, I believe, right? It's 10,000 feet up. It's just the craziest zip line I've ever been on in my life. And it took probably us 4 hours to just get up there and to get all set. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever done, but it was insane. Once you release yourself to it, it was the most gorgeous thing I've ever done.
Now, I don't want to be a one-upper here, but I ate at Roy's not once, but twice, and on 2 separate islands. So, hey.
Well, if I'm gonna really one-up you, the person that got off the helicopter before me was LeBron James. All right.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Oh, fancy pants over
big time.
Big job
Well, you seem
helping to explain all the wonders of coming to Hawaii. I mean, the activities, the food is amazing, and we really feel for a lot of our restaurants right now. And, off property, they're a little bit hurting. So we all look forward to going back there. And Hawaii is known as a healing place, mentally as well as physically, a place to come and heal. So as people want to come back, that is definitely something that we're seeing, is just to be able to take a breath and enjoy the reasons for why we do travel on the leisure side of things. So we are very anxious to provide that healing for our guests coming from all over the world.
Yeah, I would just add
I think
that.
Go ahead, Theresa. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Theresa.
We're talking a lot about hope, and I think that, positivity and how it is that we are in good spirits. And I think what John and I are seeing a lot of is at this time, everyone pulling together. A lot of our colleagues are donating. Our hotels have donated sheets and blankets to the homeless community, volunteering time while others are on furlough. Some of my colleagues are even sewing face masks and donating them to the medical workers or even the community kapuna, our older population that may not be able to get them easily, dropping off groceries. So there's a lot of different volunteering that's happening throughout our community, and it just is amazing to see. And that's one of the things that we've been sharing on our social is how everyone in Hawaii is really pulling together and bringing those words ohana, family, and aloha to life. And so it's been a very special time for us to see that happening.
Yeah, and go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I think John's onto something. It just kind of struck me, though, is there's going to be this whole group of people that not only are they dreaming, but they're remembering the trip they didn't take that they wanted to take. And I think there's going to be opportunity where people are going to say, you know what, before something like this happens again, once travel's available, I'm going to go to Hawaii. I'm going to experience the ohana, the culture and the food. And there could really be some pent up demand for trips that people weren't necessarily planning, but they were regretting not ever making. So the destinations could do well,
And I think we're uniquely positioned behind the opening of other U.S. states such that we're going to learn from some of the openings that are happening in certain states. And so we're going to incorporate those and learn from our partners in the hotels on the mainland to say, oh, we didn't think about X, let's add that in. So if there is such a thing as being safer, we're going to continue to take that. So Theresa's company, our company, we're going to figure out, to answer your question, how do we do food and beverage? Do we still do luau's in Hawaii? All those type of questions. We don't quite have those answers yet. But we also have the questions from our ownership, which is in Anthony's wheelhouse, about revenue management. Well, how do you start to get things going and temper down those expectations, those revenue expectations, in due time, because it is a phased situation.
I think your point is perfect. Is that people are going? It's going to be more to them. Travel is going to be more to them. I think having all these brand leaders truly engaged, truly thinking about the housekeeper, truly thinking about our guests, truly thinking about their hotels, and really being forced to worry about revenue management and really the health of their company, I think it's going to make us better. I think the industry is going to be better. I think we're going to be stronger. I think the changes that we're going to make, some are going to be temporary, some are going to be permanent. That's going to enhance us and make us better. From a revenue management standpoint, if you do all that right, if you take care of your employees, you take care of your guests, revenue management will take care of itself. This is not an expense-driven business. This is a revenue-driving business, okay? Mm-hmm. Food and beverage, yes, it's an expense-driven business, but what we're selling is we're selling dreams. One of the things that I say all the time to my employees since I've been born into this industry is I said our job is to give our guests the greatest experience of their life. If they do that, their pocketbook will be empty, but their heart will be filled. So I don't want to empty their pocketbook if their heart's not full. So let's fill up their heart and empty their pocketbook to give them something, not to take something that doesn't belong to us. We want to keep our hotels open. We want to keep our employees. So we need for people to spend money. But when you go on vacation, nobody goes on vacation, puts $2,000 in their pocket and goes, I hope I bring 500 back home. They're like, I hope that I spend that $2,000 and I have to
go to Vegas.
Right, right, and I have to borrow money, from the cab driver, to pay the bill. So that to me is travel. Is that we give people an experience. If we worry about what is revenue management going to look like, what is our P&L going to look like, we're not going to get there. Okay, if you didn't survive, if you don't survive this, then that was a pre-COVID problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, which again, no judgment, because there's a lot of people I know that aren't going to survive this. But if you can get through this and you can get that enthusiasm back into travel again, your bottom line is going to do great and your top line is going to do even better. So I'm just so inspired by listening to you, remembering my Hawaii trips. And it's true. People are going to double down. And when they're sitting there having that drink and looking over the ocean, it's not going to be an Instagrammable moment. It's going to be a heart stamp moment. And I think we're going to get away from that Instagrammable stuff. And it's like, I just want to enjoy this because I haven't been able to enjoy it.
Yeah. Real life.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Chris, I want you to stick around for a little bit, but Theresa and John, maybe we get a little final thoughts from you folks. Theresa, why don't you give us a little final thought there?
Sure. I mean, I think we're all in this together. Everyone keeps saying that, and it obviously affects each one of us in a different way. And our state is, doing the best we can to cope with the situation, and we're pulling together, supporting our community, and as John said, investing in our product by, completing renovation processes at this time. And, we're cautious, and we just encourage everyone to be aware of the state mandates with the quarantine. That's very important. We don't want people coming and getting disappointed that they can't leave their room. But, keep track of it. We have an updates page on our website with all that information, and we hope everyone can come back when it's safe.
Excellent. John?
Yeah. Mahalo for having Hawaii in the house this morning. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks early.
Hawaii in the house.
Yeah.
We're going through a pretty tough time for the state, and as you talked about, there's a lot of wonderful experiences to be had when the time is right, and so we definitely welcome you. My bit of advice is this is uncharted territory, so please reach out and brainstorm with people, and that's what Theresa and I, we're Ohana, so let's help each other through this, and we'll move forward and look forward to welcoming you guys. I don't know about the helicopter and LeBron James, but we can teach you how to do.
Well, just to be clear, the Travel Channel was paying for it. Okay, LeBron James was paying out of pocket money. I was paying.
Oh, now the truth comes out. All right.
Oh, it was production. We were shooting the show. I wish I was able to do that in real life. I wouldn't be sitting here with my friend Glenn.
Right. Yeah. That's a very good point. John, Theresa, thank you so much for being here and for being up so early, starting at 6 a.m. here to
Great
be on
stuff.
our show. Thank you guys so much. We hope to see you again real soon. Mahalo. All right. Before we continue, I just want to say, Anthony, that's a great story. But one time I was at a urinal next to Dee Snider of Twisted Sister. That, my friend, is one that you can take with you.
Chris, how are you today, Chris?
Me, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Tough, man.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Chris, you know what was great about that? Everybody looks at Hawaii or other destinations that are gorgeous, but one of the things you have to realize, they're going through the same thing we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're on an island, but you know what? When you're going through the devastation and the over 30% unemployment, that ocean doesn't look beautiful. The greenery doesn't look green. So that their positive attitude's still out there. It's not because they're Hawaii and because they have beautiful tropical surroundings. It's because they're just positive spirits, and that to me is what we need. So it was great show today, my friend.
Those were both great segments. I thought Lisa had great stuff to say, and then the Hawaii piece. I mean, as much as I enjoy being on with you guys, that I like watching. I was just listening to them talk about Hawaii and daydreaming, really, and kind of kicking myself because we've looked at it several times for family vacations and we just never pulled the trigger. And then I think now it's on the definite check to-do list when it gets open. So.
Oh, yeah, I got to tell you, Chris, it's really just one of the most spectacular places that I've ever been in this world, at least from a natural beauty type of standpoint of things.
You know, when I got off the plane the first time, and again, I didn't want to go. I went because I was shooting a show. And I never wanted to go on vacation there.
Everybody's pitying you. Oh, I had to go shoot a TV show in Hawaii.
Well, I want people to know that I'm not going on my own dime and think that I'm LeBron James money.
I went on my own dime.
So when I get there was a spirit immediately. I felt the same way when I first went to Italy. There's a spirit immediately that spoke to my soul, and I was just like. And then they were burning the sugar cane. Which I love that smell, and I just loved it. It just felt so Hawaii to me. And then and that year it was one of the worst snowstorms in the history of New York. And my wife called me, and I'm literally at the Four Seasons Lounge chair, and I'm being spritzed with Evian water, and my wife is outside with my kids digging out the snow, and I felt so guilty, but so like. Oh, all right. I never get a break. This is a good way to get a break. So I always remember that moment. It's like I feel like I actually asked the young lady not to spritz me with the water just because I think that's really guilty. I didn't want to get that guilty. I'm getting spritzed as my wife's digging out the snow. But it is a beautiful place. I like Hawaii, Maui, Kauai. I love the other islands. I love, but Maui is my place to go.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So, Chris, any updates that you have on what's going on with your business? Any forward mobility? Any new thoughts that you're having today?
Well, we spent the morning working on. I mean, have you seen a lot of our peer set? The brands, of course, came out with their global cleaning initiatives, sanitation initiatives, Safer First initiatives. AHLA came out with Safe Stay, and of course, Chesapeake as a large third-party manager. We're working on our complete processes to go out. So I spent the morning doing that. We also spent a lot of time talking about what you guys know is important to us as our associates, and how when we look forward, how can we stop something like this from happening again from a financial perspective? Is there a way that we as a company can be better prepared to not see 1,700 layoffs happen? And if we do, how can we help process through that in a better situation? So I had a great morning because we spent time thinking about how to stave off something like this in the future. And thinking about those things keeps me positive, keeps me motivated, because we have such a great industry and this has been such a hard hit. So when I get to spend time really thinking about how, I was using the term never again, right? And I know that's hard to say, but I just don't want to see this happen. It just breaks my heart thinking about those people sitting home that want to get to work.
Yep.
So.
And I really believe, I'm getting more and more inspired every day, that our industry is going to get the biggest pop out of this whole thing. I really do. I think 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I think people are going to say, you know what? I'm going to travel. Life's too short. I'm going to go. Nobody ever thought of a pandemic before in our generation that this was going to happen. So I think that our industry is going to be strong. I think it's going to be healthy. I think if you're a college kid, stay in the industry. Don't drop out of hospitality. We are needed The frontline workers are needed right now more than anyone. In a year, 2 years going forward, our industry will be the most needed industry because we are going to need to get back to who we are. And nothing brings us back to who we are more than travel.
No, I think, I mean, as we continue to process through this, and this whole Hawaii thing got me really just kind of a little bit emotional, quite frankly. Just we are so connected to memories and foods and smells and experiences in our lives. Those are the things that bring us the most joy. And you said it, Anthony, those are heart moments. And so how do you live without those heart moments? And luckily we're in the business that provides those. So I think that, you know, my intensity for getting out and traveling, not just because it's what I do for a living, but for getting out and just experiencing some of that goodness that I've felt around the country, it's probably brimming over the top now.
Yeah, and listen, I think we all know what we need to do, and we just need to do it safely. Chris, it's always a pleasure to have you, my brother.
It's great to be here, even though you make fun of me all the time, Anthony.
That's why I have you
said
back.
I was going to bring it down when you said when he comes on, he's going to bring down the mood.
You know, this really started as having Chris on because he's a great CEO and he's really helping us go through this. But now I'm just having him on because at least I don't get made fun of by Anthony as much. We can spread the dissing.
Listen, between me only being 5'7", not having any hair, having big ears and big feet, there's so many things you can make fun of. So go at it, man.
I don't want to do it.
But listen. Having you on has really helped us kind of keep ourselves really close to the operation and not just talk to, you know, just in 50,000, you know, feet. It's really keeping us grounded and to hear the stories about your employees and thinking about how you're going to prevent this from happening again and financially making sure that you don't lay off, you know, 1,700 employees going forward if this ever happens again. Those are things we need to hear because it is about, you know, making sure that we figure this can happen again, God forbid, and how do we be better prepared. And Glenn is, I don't know.
Right, my cat just hit the camera. And I forgot to close the door, so I've got a cat running around here.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Chris, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next Tuesday. And Anthony, I love talking about Hawaii today. Tomorrow, we're going to be feeling good, feel good. Friday, we're going to be talking to some HR professionals tomorrow as well. And again, to help you guys think about your next career steps. And then we're going to be making that drink. So be sure all of you out there have your black cherry soda, your bourbon, your vanilla ice cream, all that kind of good stuff. We'll have some fun. We'll have some laughs. We'll have some drinks together. Hopefully, Anthony will look less confused.
I'm looking for my drink. I have it. I'm getting ready. I have it right behind me somewhere.
All right. Glad you're doing that now 23 hours in advance. You know, we want to make sure you're prepared.
So listen, I got inspired today because, as I said, I'm going to be on Fox News at 2:50. And I'm there to talk about the industry. I'm not there to talk about anything else except bourbon black cherry float that we're going to make tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about it. First, you need a fistful of bourbon, of course, and then a bottle of black cherry soda and some vanilla ice cream. Don't get a short glass, get a tall glass and a fistful of bourbon. Fill the glass halfway with black cherry soda. Who doesn't love black cherry soda? And add a little ice cream, top it with remaining soda, and if you want to, put a cherry on top.
I like that idea. Putting the cherry on top. Fistful of Bourbon is the brand that we have partnered with on this. So you don't need a literal fistful. You want the bottle of the Fistful of Bourbon.
And Jeff, what did you learn by that, Jeff, by putting that up? Is that you can't push me off, buddy. I'll just go right in, buddy, and I'll give you the commercial that you were looking for.
Jeff can't, but I can.
Well, at 2:50, I'm going to be on Judge Piro's show, Fox News, talking about the business. And one of the things that inspired me today is that I'm going to talk about how lucky and how fortunate we are to be in a business with such incredible people that, yes, I'm not going to talk about, we'll have numbers and I'll probably spew some numbers, but I'm going to talk about the great people in this industry that are going to bring us back, because I truly believe when we are coming back, we're going to be needed more than ever. So, you know, it's like, to me, it's like a kid that goes away, you know, and then after college goes away for a couple of years and then knocks on the door and says, Mommy and Daddy, can I come home for dinner? You know, can I have that recipe? Can I go to the pool? Can I bring my family over? It's like, they're going to, you know, everybody's going away a little bit, but when they come back, it's going to be stronger and more heartfelt. You know, I'm seeing my daughters, even at 20 years old, getting a little bit more, you know, understanding and of the situation and of how important family is. And I think that that's what travel is going to be to people. It's going to be like getting back to family, getting back to the spirit of who we are as humans.
Excellent. I love it. I can't top that.
Of course not.
Be back here tomorrow where I will attempt in vain to make Anthony laugh. I want to thank you all for being here. Remember, you've got one life. Oh, no, I totally forgot. We got to do advertise. Text the word hotel to 66866 for more great content. That's hotel to 66866. And of course, Anthony, we got to get people involved in hospitality success, don't we?
Well, Hospitality Success, again, on Facebook or hospitalitysuccess.com. I think we're over 1,000 members right now. We're talking about the industry. We're helping people get back. The 19th, no, actually, we moved it to that Thursday, which is, Glenn will tell me in a second, that Thursday of the week of May 19th is what?
21.
Okay. So the 21st, we're doing a webinar. It's free. Please come. We're putting a lot of great material together. It's high-level stuff. We're learning a lot on this show, and we're going to add value with Jeremy Pinkerton, my partner, and Glenn's cat will be on the show. It'll be fantastic. Also, I want to, very, very important, please, thank you so much, everyone, for going to GoFundMe. It really warms my heart. We have a charity called USA Hospitality Strong. Go to the GoFundMe page, USA Hospitality Strong. I'm working with the Association SCAL USA, and you guys have been really generous. We're going to have a poker game. We're going to have other charitable events that you can donate to. So please go to GoFundMe, USA Hospitality Strong. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate all the support. Goes directly to the hospitality industry. 100% of the of what we raise goes to the hospitality industry.
Excellent.
You're
I love
killing me, Glenn. You're killing me. I try so hard to make this show look good. You can't close the door.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I ruin everything. Everything I touch dies.
You know what I love about this show is, like, you guys are making the show better, and you're doing all the graphics, and you're bringing the one camera in and the two cameras in, and which I like because it gives me a chance to scratch my head.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about it, so great. And Jeff, thank you for all that work, and Glenn, thanks for not keeping the door closed.
Yeah, and I want to thank my cat for being interrupting everything. And now the official end of the show. Remember, guys, you got one life, so blaze on. And thanks for checking in.
See
See you tomorrow.